You wake up, you push, you try to stay disciplined, you're doing your best to move forward. And yet, you're stuck, tired, distracted, overwhelmed. You know you want more. You feel like you're meant for more, but progress feels slow. And no matter what you try, something's holding you back. Here's the truth most people never hear. It's not the big mistakes that ruin your life. It's the small habits you repeat every day without even noticing. Habits that seem harmless, habits that even look productive. But slowly, silently, they're draining your energy, your focus, and your future. In this episode, we're going to expose them. 10 invisible habits that sabotage your growth and steal your potential one quiet decision at a time. Because the key to real transformation isn't always adding more. Sometimes it starts by removing what's in your way. Let's start with the habits that rob you quietly, the ones that don't scream for attention, but slowly drain your hours, focus, and peace of mind. These are the invisible time killers. You don't see them, you don't question them, you just live with them, day after day. And one day, you look back and wonder, where did the time go? Let's expose the first 3. Habit number 1, constantly checking your phone. Not for an hour of scrolling, not doom scrolling late at night. We're talking about those tiny automatic glances, every 5 minutes, every boring moment, every silence. You think you're just checking something. But here's what's really happening. You're breaking your brain's ability to stay present, to concentrate, to go deep. Each time you unlock that screen, you reset your focus. You inject a microdose of dopamine, and then crash. And you know what's scary? Most people touch their phones over 200 times a day. Now ask yourself, how many of those taps were intentional? And how many were just reaction? Because the more often you check your phone, the harder it becomes to check in with yourself. Habit number 2, starting your day in reaction mode. This one's sneaky because it feels normal. Almost everyone does it. But it's one of the fastest ways to sabotage your mental clarity. You wake up, your phone lights up. Notifications, emails, headlines, reminders. You start reading, scrolling, responding. And just like that, your brain is hijacked before you even get out of bed. The problem isn't just distraction, it's direction, because the very first thing you focus on shapes the rest of your day. When you start by reacting, you stay reactive. You chase, you respond, you survive, but you don't lead. That calm, creative, grounded state you wish you had, it needs space to form, and you just gave that space away. Habit number 3, multitasking. You've probably heard this one before, but let's be honest, you're still doing it, and maybe even proud of it. Because multitasking feels productive. It makes you look busy. It tricks your brain into thinking you're doing more. But science is clear, you're not doing more. You're doing less, worse, and with more mistakes. Your brain isn't wired for parallel processing. It switches back and forth, over and over. And every switch carries a hidden cost. Mental residue, loss of clarity, slower work, higher stress. If you feel exhausted after a busy day, but can't remember what you actually accomplished, this habit is the reason. The mind thrives in depth, in presence, in full attention. Multitasking steals that and leaves you with the illusion of productivity, but none of the progress. Now let's move inside your head, because not all habits are visible. Some live quietly in your mind, camouflaged as normal thoughts. But these are the patterns that drain your mental energy, sabotage your motivation, and slowly kill your momentum. Let's break down 3 of the biggest ones. Habit number 4, negative self-talk. You may not even hear it clearly, but it's always there. whispering, questioning, undermining. You're not good enough. You always mess this up. Why even try? These thoughts don't sound loud or dramatic, they sound familiar, and that's what makes them dangerous. Because the way you speak to yourself becomes the way you see yourself. And here's the hard truth. You can't grow into the person you want to be if your inner voice keeps pulling you back. Self-awareness starts with recognizing that voice, not judging it, not pretending it's not there, just seeing it and choosing to reframe it. Because no one's harder on you than you. Habit number 5, overthinking small decisions. This one feels responsible, cautious, thoughtful. But really, it's perfectionism in disguise. It's fear wearing a tie. You spend 10 minutes picking an outfit, 15 choosing what to eat, 30 staring at your to-do list, doing nothing. Here's what's happening. Every decision burns energy. It's called decision fatigue. And the more small choices you obsess over, the less brain power you have for what actually matters. High performers simplify the small stuff. They build routines, they pre-decide, because they know their real power is in protecting mental clarity. So, if you're constantly tired by midday, look at how much time you're spending, thinking instead of doing. Habit number 6, consuming without creating. This is the trap that fools smart people. You read the books, watch the videos, listen to podcasts. You feel productive. You're learning, right? But here's the catch. Information without action is just entertainment. You can listen to every success story on earth, but if you don't do something with it, your life doesn't change. Growth doesn't come from what you know. It comes from what you apply, what you test, what you build. So the next time you consume something valuable, ask yourself, how can I turn this into action today? Because real learning doesn't live in your head, it lives in your behavior. Now let's talk about 2 habits that are especially dangerous because they wear a mask. They look like ambition. They feel like progress. They might even get you praise from others. But underneath, they're killing your momentum. Habit number 7, confusing busyness with progress. Let's get this straight. Being busy is not the same as being effective. You can spend your entire day running around, checking things off a list, answering messages, attending meetings, and still make zero real progress toward your actual goals. Busyness is addictive. It makes you feel important. It keeps your hands full, but your mind empty. When was the last time you stopped and asked yourself, is what I'm doing right now moving me toward the life I want? Success doesn't come from being constantly in motion. It comes from strategic action, focused energy, intentional direction. So if you're always tired, always overwhelmed, but nothing seems to change, you don't need to do more. You need to do less with clarity. Habit number 8, avoiding discomfort. Nobody says this one out loud, but almost everyone does it. You avoid the hard conversation. You skip the cold email. You delay the launch. You overplan instead of starting. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it's uncertain. Because it makes you feel exposed. But here's the paradox. Everything you want is on the other side of that discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. That's where you maintain. That's where you repeat. The discomfort you avoid is the direction you need. So the next time you catch yourself hesitating, ask, what am I actually afraid of here? And more importantly, what would I gain if I leaned in instead? Sometimes what's holding you back isn't a bad habit. It's a version of you that no longer fits who you want to become. These last 2 habits don't live in your schedule. They live in your environment and your identity. Habit number 9, surrounding yourself with the same people. We all want community, familiarity, loyalty. But sometimes the people around you are the very reason you've stopped growing. Because the more time you spend with the same voices, the more your world stays the same. If you're always the smartest, the strongest, or the most driven person in the room, you've stopped stretching. Growth requires friction, new conversations, new ideas, new standards. And no, this doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you consciously expand. You build circles that pull you forward, not just comfort you where you are. You're allowed to outgrow people. You're allowed to seek better influences. That's not selfish. That's survival. Habit number 10, telling yourself, that's just who I am. This one sounds harmless, but it's a trap. I'm just not good with money. I'm bad at consistency. I'm not a morning person. I don't like risks. Every time you say it, you reinforce an identity you never chose consciously. And over time, that identity becomes a ceiling. Here's the truth. Who you are right now is not fixed, it's flexible. It's shaped by habits, beliefs, and repetition. The question is, are you shaping it on purpose or by accident? You are not your past. You are not your patterns. You are what you choose to become, starting today. 10 small habits, 10 silent patterns, all hiding in plain sight. They don't scream. They don't crash your life overnight. They whisper. They repeat. And over time, they shape your identity. The good news, you're no longer blind to them. And once you can see the patterns, you can break them. Because real growth doesn't start with adding more. It starts with removing what holds you back. Noticing the distractions, the self-sabotage, the lies we tell ourselves to stay small. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to start noticing, and then start choosing differently. Because your future isn't built by force. It's built by habits, and habits begin with awareness. So if you're serious about change, here's your next step. For the next 24 hours, you're going to become a quiet observer of yourself. That's it. No pressure to change anything yet. Just observe. Keep a note on your phone or paper, and every time you catch yourself doing one of the 10 habits we covered, write it down. No judgment, no guilt, just awareness. You're training your mind to see what it usually ignores, and that awareness is where transformation begins. At the end of the day, look at your list. Notice the patterns. Which habits showed up most? When? Why? Pick just one habit to interrupt tomorrow. One small shift. One conscious choice. Because one habit interrupted can be the first domino in a chain. That changes everything.
Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, the best way to support the podcast is to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Every bit of support helps us keep creating content that actually matters. See you in the next one.